Greetings, everyone. Guess I don't need my glasses. Hawksblood here. I'm calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. All right, what I want to do with this show today is get you prepared for how I'm going to start coming out to the world and what I'm going to talk about. I'm a rebel. If you heard anything I ever did, the shows I do, the shows I had people on, uh, I'm a rebel. I'm hardcore. I deal with the truth only. I don't like stories. I don't like storytellers. I don't like people exaggerating or fantasizing or dreaming. I'm so against all the topics above. The truth is, whether you believe my truth or not doesn't matter. All right. What I will try to get you to see is the truth is out there and you can find it and you can see if it's beneficial to you or not and how it can be or how it isn't. And learn to work with that. How to listen to spirit, how to do the things that are important in life, not the things that just make you feel good. So I don't know, there's multiple topics I want to get in today, but I want to start off with what makes you happy? What is your desire to be happy? Doing what? What would you want around you? What do you want to do? Now, many people have different things in that space. And then the other thing is, which I want you to say, what is your mission in life? All right. I want to debate that with you. All right. Get a piece of paper out and pencil. Write down your mission in life and what you desire. The chat room's open. If you get into the site, put it in the chat room if it's live, or text me, hawksblood1, AOL.com. And then we'll go from there. Because most people say they will have a mission. Yeah, we all have a mission. A mission to find out who and what we are. It's not complicated. It's not about saving mankind. It's none of those things. So let's go into why are you here? You can listen to people out there in the spiritual world, in the scientific world, and they come up with suggested ideas of what they think is important for us. What we need to do with our mission, how we have to go about finding it. People do ceremonies to find it. People do drugs to find it. In the native nation, it's called Sundance. In Brazil, they call it Ayahuasca ceremony. They give it ceremonial names or things, and they do drugs half of the time. Or they go into deep meditation to try to find it. Now, what I'm going to say, probably everything I'm going to say today is going to bother you. Because you're set to a programmed idea, what programmed things are real, what is supposed to be real, what's good and what's bad. I know everybody says there's no good and bad. Well, in some form, there isn't. And then in another way, there is. When I mean it isn't means you're free to do whatever you want, good or bad. If you think you're a God or one with God, you can do anything you want. So there's no guidelines to who and what you can become and what you do. With that being said, what can you do? Anything. Anything your heart desires. And you can tell yourself it's right. So that's why I'm saying it's a really in-between space when you say a specific topic and what you give it a definition as. So your mission in life, to get a job, to work, to have a family, to get a house, and all those kind of things. No, that's what you do when you're here. What did cavemen do? What did other tribal people do? What do other people do? Grab food, go out and hunt for food, and then eat, and then sleep. That's what life was about. So what is it about now? Well, being happy. Happy what? So now here's the thing. What is your desire? What would make you happy? For men, yeah, being in a castle with 10,000 women and partying. I mean, yeah, that's probably one thing. How long is that going to last? Going skiing, might be going fishing. I mean, all those are desires, but do they last and how long do they last? Watching a football game, playing in a football game. All these little things are important. Now, I want to get into that before we go too much further. Sports are dangerous to the world. Oh, well, no, that's entertainment. Entertainment's dangerous for the world. Every form of entertainment is a brainwashing condition that we're supposed to accept and follow. Now, if you looked at TV 50 years ago, 25 years ago to now, what they were allowed to show, what they weren't allowed to show, what they do show now. I mean, Ozzy and Harriet, I mean, they were like sleeping in separate beds. They weren't allowed to show a woman in a bra. I mean, all these little things. They weren't allowed to curse. And now cursing and saying things like farting and stuff is all funny to the world now. Nakedness and naked and afraid. I mean, they're running around the whole thing naked. I mean, they block out certain things, but the censoring has changed greatly. Obviously, not for the better, and it could be a lot better. If you're watching a paid TV, there's no reason why you should have a restriction on it if you're paying for it. Now, on the other hand, if you're not paying for it, you get the commercials, you get everything else. But if you're paying to watch a show, why should you pay for commercials? Now, cable TV, you pay for it, but half of the channels or 3/4 of the channels have commercials on them. So why do you pay for something that's going to pay other people to pay because they're getting commercials on your show that you have to watch? I know they were creating VCRs that were supposed to cut out commercials. I don't know where that or whatever happened to that idea. But I don't think it's too realistic because most of them do not do that. So commercials are brainwashing in every way. In other countries, they show a lot more in commercials than they do in the United States. Nudity is a little more accepted in commercials in other countries. Good or bad. I mean, women, which we'll talk about greatly, are the victims of life. All right. I'm doing a new book, up to page 75. I want to get it done in about a month or two, and then release it, and then get involved with what that book's about. There's 2 issues I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing. One of them is my last book I put out, The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. Oh, don't jump off the show because you heard Jesus. I'm not saying Jesus was God, but I will say Jesus was the most spiritual person in all my lifetimes. Going back to Atlantis, was the most spiritual person to walk this planet. You can deny it, say whatever you want. Prove it one way or another. You can't. All right, you might have had a dream or a vision that with Jesus and all these things. What did you learn? Did you learn anything? The Pope himself has no connection to Jesus, the real Jesus, not his illusionary storytelling prophet that he works with. And I challenge him every night. He's delusional, he's evil, and he's changing a religion. Well, Christianity was a specific religion and a specific function. It wasn't right, but that's what it was. Muslim religion is a religion. And if you go into that religion, you follow the rules of your religion, or don't join a religion. Well, I like a little this and I like a little that. Well, you don't need to be in a religion, and don't say you're a Christian. Don't say you're a Muslim. Don't say you're Jewish. Don't say anything if you ask what religion you follow. Why? I just follow what I want. Well, is that going to get you anywhere? I studied 14 religions, and I went through them, realizing it didn't have what I needed in life. And my truth is, I needed to know what God was. I found out what death was many times, but I needed to find out what God is about and what it really is. Because a priest, a minister, a rabbi, preacher can't talk about God. I do. Listen to the shows out there. Listen to every speaker. Conversation with God. Really, I challenged him so many times, and nobody will go against me. You know why? They're afraid to. Oh, you're not? Come on the radio. Challenge me. Debate me. Prove that I'm wrong. I'm open to debate anybody on this planet, from Trump to the Pope to the Dalai Lama. Any one of them. If you want to talk about God, please come out and say what you think it is. Tell me I'm wrong. But you need to find out what I think God is in the first place. My book, The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization, explains what Jesus came here to teach. And it was about God, not about forgiveness and all the love. I mean, he showed love. Love did not exist either. So when you talk about all new shows, Ancient Aliens and things like that, are promoting aliens, UFOs, and all those kind of things right now, and whistleblowing. I don't know why I'm sorry, my eyes are, I should have closed the blinds, but my eyes are really sensitive right now. We need to go forward. wake up, find the truth, find our truth, and learn to deal with it. But if you're not going to look for it, you're not going to find it. If you think somebody else is going to hand it to you, give it to you, you're totally wrong. I don't know if you can hear me right or not. I hope so. I just changed the volume. I don't see my little thing. Can you, nobody's in the chat room. I wish I could check it, but okay. All right. Well, here's the thing. We're going to start with basically your mission. Every soul comes down here for a reason. There's a reason for things to happen. Oh no, it's just a cell mutating and doing mutating things. No, that's not what life is about. That's not what soul is about. That's not what death is about. Science will never get close enough to the truth to bring anything important out about it. I mean, sure, they talked about measuring soul when it leaves the body, which is important. But how far does that go? So you measured it when it leaves. Do you know where it's going? Of course not. With the toys that they're playing with, which are many, all right, such as the HARP system, CERN, CERN, trying to create and open wormholes, black holes, is dangerous. For we don't know what happens when we do it. I do. I could tell you what's going to happen at multiple levels. But whether people listen or not, that's still up to you. But what are you going to do? Hey, bro, why don't you come on? Oh, I don't know how to get you on. So, yeah, but it's going to be like this. The truth is out there, and it's being twisted by every religion and everybody that dreams and fantasizes. You can hear people telling you how important dreams are. I have a good friend who's in the chat room, at least, Sergeant 18. Everybody go to that site if you want to see some really cool stuff, listen to some stuff. We worked together for a long time. We did a lot of cool things together, filmed a lot of weird, strange, and everything out there. So please check out Sergeant 18's site. We did a show on Kerry Cassidy for almost 9 months. We put pictures up every week. We did a lot of cool things that nobody else did. But there was a money problem with the company and everything else, so we pulled out of that. So he's been doing a lot of shows. He put over 200 shows up in the past year. So check it out. Check out what he's pushing, telling, and releasing. I mean, I'm pushing my own story as well right now, because right now the world is coming to a serious place. So what are we going to do about it? Probably nothing. Now, everybody has a viewpoint. Sargel has his, I have mine. But we were together for many years, so we know our differences, we know the boundaries and everything else. But for me, I talk from my direct experience from all my lifetimes, which was a lot. My first physical lifetime in this reality was in Atlantis. I was in one before that, which I don't go into ever. But that time, when I came into Atlantis, that was when planet Earth, this planet, was in peace, harmony, and balance. It was the golden age originally. Mankind did not fight, did not eat animals, did not kill. All those things existed between the 9 races that were here. Hold on, let me catch this question. What, my little dog in the bottom down there, Mr. Gizmo? Hey, Gizmo! He just came into the room. So here's the thing. We each are here to learn who and what we are. Now, past lives is only accepted through some religion, some paths. And I'll tell you straight out, whether you want to accept it or not, it is important to know most of them. And if you can, all of them. One of them probably won't help, because the first one you're going to remember is probably your last life. I mean, it got you to where you are right now. All right. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on. You're not going to go back out. He's going to try to go back out. So here's where we're going to go. I can start from Atlantis, which is the most, I have 2 important lifetimes out of all the ones I went through. My book on the true teachings of Jesus from God Realization is based on my second one, which I call the most important. But my first one in Atlantis, becoming aware of soul, becoming aware what I was and what mankind was. Now, here's the difference, and I'm going to tell you this because it goes against almost everything ever written from the Emerald tablets, which I feel is a lot closer to the truth than the Sumerian tablets. And then you got the Urantia, and you got all these other books talking about aliens and everything else. And then you got a twisted story from Zechariah Sitchin of the Anunnaki. So they're more accepted now in almost every part of the UFO world than not. And all you're going to hear is they came and they helped us, they made us, they taught us, they gave us what. Here's the thing that you need to think about anytime you watch Ancient Aliens or any of those shows. Hold on, let me just read this quick question. All right, so Joe, glad to see you. Hope to talk soon. All right, take it easy. Here's the thing. Atlantis was a time 9 races were here. And they were in harmony. They knew what love was. They had psychic abilities. So it was different than the perception of like when the Anunnaki came down and did this and that. All right. In the 9 races that were here, 4 of them actually left. And it's the blue race, the green race, the purple race, and I call them the crystal race. They were spiritual beings and they all left. The races that stayed, obviously, they're the colors that are here now: black, brown, red, yellow, and white. All right? And they're all separate races. If you believe the programming ideas that we all came from an African race, you're delusional, as much as the government and scientists are. Now, well, evolution doesn't change your color. I mean, the features of a black race versus the features of a white race versus the features of a yellow race are different. And they don't mutate to different. Black people aren't becoming orange people. White people aren't becoming purple people. I mean, they're not changing that way. Their noses aren't growing bigger or smaller. Their lips aren't growing bigger or smaller. Every other part of their body's not growing different than that tribal people. So evolution's not changing that. And here's another part of that. We have never changed. All right, sure. Over the past, I don't know how many thousands of years, we had multiple sex with different partners of different tribes. And then that starts bringing different DNA into people. All right, sure. Then you start getting half-colored children and everything else along the way. Right or wrong, good or bad, doesn't matter. We did it and we are doing it. Every race will mix eventually. We will be one tribal people. Once we change, I mean, right now, a lot of people have 4 different heritages in their past of their families. Some have many more. I mean, and the one thing that people have to look at how things like that started. Well, Native people were very sacred to themselves. And when they were forced to have sex, which was when the white race, Spanish, and the British were raping Native people, that's when we got white American Indians. Not like it was an accepted idea, because it wasn't. And I'll go into that, but I don't want to take us so far off topic, which I'm trying to get to, about what happened to the Native people, why it was so pathetic. But I will add this, and I'll go back into it. Now, the black race was brought here. And you're going to hear, well, the Native races were brought here. No, there was one true Native race always on the United States in it. So to say we came, lots of tribal people did come from other countries originally. All right, or came down from the different parts of the continent when it was one. All right, but the Topi people were the only true race that lived inside this planet, inside the United States, always. So they were never brought here. So to say that they came from the black race is ridiculous. Their DNA is different. So that alone proves the idea that we all came from the black race is so far from the mainstream. But you know, people in science world, and when the government allows them to do things, it's based on money, programming, what they want to feed society, what they want to create in our society. And I talked about disclosure. We'll get to it. But disclosure means understanding what's being disclosed. We're all aliens. We did not come here. We weren't born, well, we were, but our families weren't born on planet Earth. Each race came from a different reality or realm, world, but in a physical reality, I should say. Some place out there, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, but there's multiple billions of galaxies out there. So it could have came from anywhere. I'll go into that a little bit, how those beings came here. But here's the thing, 9 races. I'm sure you're not going to believe the other 4 races. But if you follow Krishna, if you follow Green Tara, the Hindu relief, you'll see the other races. They were gods, because when they left Atlantis, those people were spiritual, not like most people that leave here are when they leave. So they went into the higher realms, but one of each race became a deity, meaning a little god, and they control certain realms from here in the astral world and the world beyond that realm, for another word. So people want to believe the stories that are being pushed in your head over and over. The Anunnaki created us. Well, who created them? See, they don't want you to know any truth, so they feed you half lies and then feed you more half lies to make that all seem real to you. All right, now, again, my line is open for debate. Anybody on this planet wants to debate me, please do. My email address is hawksblood1@aol.com. I'm on Skype as Thomas. All right, I'm Tommy. But you can pull it up if you type Hawksblood1111. All right, and you can get in, Skype me, friend me, and then I'll talk to you if you want. Because I'd rather talk than text, because texting, I think, is for idiots, even though they can spell better than I can, most people. But communication. What do you want to communicate with? Energy? Or how about a person? How about a solid being? Now, all these dating things like catfish and stuff, they put on fake pictures. They talk to people for years, say they want to marry them, and then when they meet each other, one might not even be a boy or a girl, whatever, where they're so out of shape in what they show and things like that. So it's accepting a twisted idea as reality. I mean, there's shows on women dating people in prison, men dating women in prison, waiting for them to come out to get married and things like that. People getting married with people in other countries. They don't know anything about the heritage or the beliefs and all that. It's pathetic. If you want something to work, you got to make sure that it's going to fit together in the first place. So we can go into the beginning of aliens. It didn't start, but it kind of became more public in 1947. I mean, Roswell was a particular place, became super famous. Area 51 was supposedly where the alien went and the ship and everything else. The story is partially true, or probably almost all true. But the facts behind it, nobody knows what they are, and they'll tell you twisted stories. You can listen to the 100 speakers out there talking about it, and none of them have any real proof of what really fits together, what alien was real, what TV show showed an alien operation, all those things, which is real. Any of it? All right, you have to think further than that, okay? Ships were always here, all right? And they did start coming down after Atlantis went down. Not before. Atlantis had 32 psychic abilities. They could do anything. And then certain ones said, well, it's time to move on, which is what Soul's supposed to do. Soul doesn't stay anywhere permanently at a certain level. It keeps trying to become higher unless it gets perverted and programmed. And that's what I call them the 5 passions. People say the 5 passions of the mind: lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. I break them down to smoking, drinking, drugs, sex, cheap thrills, sports. Right? All of them, did I say sex? All of them keep mankind's attention focused here. Not God, not spirit, not beyond this realm. Now, the whole thing about aliens, they've been here since the beginning of time. They come and go. They did a lot of different things. Now, if you watch all these shows over and over about the pyramids, what do you think you're learning? Oh, they created this thing for what? To communicate, to travel back to their world. All right, not one of them stayed here. Why is that? Why don't we see one race of one alien race here walking the planet and admitting to who and what they are? Because there's something missing from that whole piece of the puzzle. But now, okay, Ancient Aliens goes on and on and on about the pyramids and about the tools they gave us, what they did for us. They did nothing for us. No alien race helped us in any way. Building a triangle didn't help mankind. Does it help mankind right now? They don't even know what it is. So how did they help us with building a triangle? Not at all. What would help them leave and go and come? And why aren't they coming here again? Why aren't they trying to help us? Did they realize something about us? See, all those things people on these shows don't get into. And I'm going to say a few things that should upset you. Why? Because it's the truth, not lies. Lies make you feel good. Almost any lie somebody's going to tell, it's to cover up something bad to make it good. If the government says it, if Trump says it, whoever says it, it's to cover up what's really going on. Government doesn't care about the middle or poor people. I mean, I got so much to talk about today. I want to bring that into the picture because homeless people are disappearing. In California, the government came in and they're taking the homeless people away. Hold on, let me just see what this question was. I can't read. The underground bases, yes, but they're not going to put the homeless people there. FEMA camps are above ground, and that what they can do in a FEMA camp is put a person in there, feed them what they want, and then terminate them whenever they want. All right, and nobody's going to know who is in the FEMA camp. Now, the biggest exposure to that was Jesse Ventura. I mean, he's lucky he's alive. He brought more stuff out than any other speaker in the UFO world, but he went there. He proved it. He went to the White House to talk about the HAARP system. He went to places, and he had two people, his son and a couple of people working with him, and they went to where these things exist and are. And you need to see the truth about something before you accept it or disapprove of it. I proved that almost everything that I have experienced in my life in multiple ways. I just didn't accept it, including Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens, you name it. Ghosts, spirits, and things like that. Exorcisms, demons. So I've been around it all. I don't know how many people can say that in the UFO world. They're all storytellers. They're telling somebody else's story. And then they tell it excitingly. Well, this ship came in, and this happened, and that happened. So, were they there? Do they know any excitement? I know a family here in Hawaii. They watched the ship shooting beams of light into the geothermal plant, and they were frozen. So this excitement, do you want to come down and say, hey, come on a trip with us? That would be not an abduction, but most aliens do abduct people. I can go into that. I talked to thousands of people over my life, starting when I was about 25. I mean, I had all my experience, a lot of my experiences when I was young as well. So when I talk about what I'm talking about, I'm talking from experience that I had in this physical world and any of my past lives. Now, how do you prove a past life is real? Don't ask an alien. Don't ask a psychic. Don't ask a hypnotist. I started hypnosis when I was 12. I started doing group hypnosis when I was 14. I met Kreskin, and I was working with hypnosis for 2 years. Then I met an Army scientist who helped me round it out to do super group hypnosis and things and everything else, and explained a lot of things to me. First off, just so you know, in hypnosis, you can make anybody do anything if they can get hypnotized. Now, my teacher said to me, and I'll use the word dumb, people cannot be hypnotized. Sounds the opposite of the truth. A person with awareness and thinking abilities can retain the thought. Now, and he explained to me, because I was doing magic at the time, stage magic as well, as being a high priest. He said, when he works with children, it's hard to keep them focused on what he's saying to them. So what I did, I was teaching him magic tricks that he could do for a child while he hypnotizes them. And he was teaching me more and more about hypnosis. When he was in the Army, they proved that a person would shoot somebody, their family, and hurt just because they were hypnotized. But you don't tell the person you're going to go kill your wife. You recondition his thinking to thinking it's something else, and then they will do it. John Lennon's killer, Oswald's killer. I mean, these people were programmed in the same place, which is even more scary. So I don't want to go into that. I don't want to get the government attacking me right away. I mean, they listen to me as well. So, but here's the thing. When we go into our own lives and we become aware of our past lives, You need to prove that to yourself. All right? Why? Because if you had a bad dream and you take that as your reality of your past life, you start pulling in the wrong information. Getting back to hypnosis, I did it half of my life. I did exorcisms, I did past life regressions, I did psychic implant removals through hypnosis as well. How many people can say that? I was ghostbusting in New York City at 16 in the most haunted house in New York City, which was the Jumo Mansion. Please check information. I challenge anybody to prove I'm lying or telling stories like all these other people. Well, I'm not a perfect spiritual being. I don't claim to be spiritual like everybody else does. I'm working on it to become spiritual. I'm following spirit to learn as much as I can about God. Period. I'm on a spiritual path, but I don't say I'm spiritual because I'm in this physical body. This physical body is not spiritual. I know there's tons of underground cities, which the government is putting cities under there of government people and rich people and all that. A lot of the rich people won't be going down there until what's going to happen to the planet soon, when they have to go underground. I don't want to go into that because that's so far from being spiritual or where we need to go or care about. If it happens, you're not going to be in an underground base. You're not going to be able to go down in one. So don't think that's going to be our protection. It won't be. If you're poor or middle class, you're going to be stuck on a street, in a garage, in a basement, in a cave, whatever you can get in when stuff starts hitting the fan. But outside of that, what you can do for yourself is find out who and what you are as soul. Not what aliens say you are, not what people in the UFO world say you are, not what religious people say you are. Find out who you are. It's not that complicated. Are you evil? Do you have evil tendencies? Well, we all have the dark side. And that's something that I go into talks about, the dark side, the dragon, the demon within, and all those kind of words. You have to face it because you do have a split personality, and that's controlled by ego and your mind, not by soul. So there's so much in between both of them that you need to learn, and you're not going to learn it anywhere else while you're listening to me, because I'm going to tell you a few little pointers to help you find it. But I'm not going to say go to a UFO conference every month, because you're going to just hear more and more twisted imaginary stories. Even if we went to Venus, even if we went to Mars, even if there is a base on the moon, there is a base on Mars, but so what? How many people do you think are up there? Do you think they care about what you're eating, what you're wearing, and what you're going to do? And if you decided you wanted to go there, what do you think would you want to do there? Play tennis, play hockey, go skiing? All your hobbies wouldn't be there. People are pretty programmed in a way to accept lies and believe whatever that lie is worth it. Going on a ship is pretty pathetic because if you start traveling, you're exposed to radiation. I'm doing a show with a woman who's incredible because she's been abducted half of her life. And lots of little things prove what happened to her. So I do that on Tuesdays if you're interested. But here's the thing. I want you to start thinking for yourself, not let anybody else feed you information. The Bible, the Sumerian tablets, Zechariah Sitchin, anybody. Because there's our stories twisted, based out of a twisted part of a truth. Now, I will tell you this. God wasn't ever mentioned in the beginning. Inky, we say it was God. No, Inky wasn't God. Inky was Inky. Anu was Anu, and all those names and all those things. Were they gods? No. When you use the plural gods, G-O-D-S, which is in the Bible, what's it mean? Why would God say our, L-O-U-R, kind, K-I-N-D, our kind? What's that mean? There's multiple gods, which is a lie. The first thing he says to Adam is a lie. Think about that. Why would God have to lie to some stupid little weasel worm that he just created? All right? He wouldn't. Now the idea that a woman made him do something, what kind of language were they using if they were just created? Here, eat this apple. It'll make you feel good. You got to eat it. You'll feel better. I mean, what kind of I don't even know what word you want to use, but how would that really relate to it? When Jesus comes into the picture, everything's different. But let's stay with Adam and Eve. All right. When we hear like who was Adam and who was Eve and who was the son and who was the son's son, I just read an article and it was saying a twisted story about who was the son of. Abraham. He was not. Where did they come up with the delusional ideas? I'm trying to, I said that wrong, but who Jesus' father really was. All right. Now, going back to the family, which the first person to be on this planet was who? Not Adam, even though Adam is supposed to be the first person. We have to go into the Sumerian tablets and the what was a couple good ones? I mean, the Emerald tablets are a really important one, but they're all different stories. Why is that? Different gods, so-called gods. Getting back to the word gods, what is the definition of God? Nobody can tell you what the definition is of God, because how many people on this planet have a clue what God is? Look in the dictionary. The super powerful being with superpowers. Oh, well, that means Superman was a god, whether he was real or not. So that means anybody that comes down with psychic abilities is God. When Lucifer plays on this planet, he's God. When Satan played on this, Lucifer never came down to the physical world, but Satan did. And Satan's here. What's he doing? What is he? He's a god to people. If you follow something, you're respecting them as a god. Now, when you pray, if you pray, which I don't, not in the way most people do, pray for this, pray for that. I just pray to keep taking one more step and finishing what I have to do. And it's coming to an end, and I'm looking forward to it. Because this planet is so sick. The new book I'm going to be doing is going to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt how evil this planet is and people are. The title, which I'm working on it, I want to get it. I don't want to say the title. I don't think anybody would want to steal it anyway, because I don't think too many people have the courage, the awareness to talk about a specific topic. The topic's rape. Oh yeah, every person that's raped tells their story, but that's not what I'm telling. I'm throwing parts of my story into the book, but I'm putting the reasoning why mankind is what it is and what's happening to the world based on that. Now, go back in time to the first races, which was the beginning in Atlantis. And when that split up and was torn apart, the races that were here. Who was teaching them? And what did they teach them? Now, think about it. If it was just the Anunnaki, why would they teach how many different languages there are on the planet? All right. Well, you live over there, I'm going to teach you this language. You live over there, I'm going to teach you that language. All right. First off, considering they were psychic, they used psychic abilities to communicate. They didn't use words. So how did suddenly Adam and Eve have words to talk and create? And who wrote that story? Moses comes into the picture and writes the story, the whole third of the Bible. Where did he get all the information from? Oh, he lived so long. No, he didn't. True, he did. Time was different in those days anyway. People lived longer in their time frame, what they considered time. So when you say 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 500 years, whatever, it wasn't the same as it is today. Well, as it stands right now, 125 is the limit that this world will let you age to. I don't care what kind of medicines they start putting out and everything. It's going to hurt the body and affect it in a different way than they expect. When they're selling it already, become 40 years younger and things like that. So do we want to blame who? The government? Scientists? People don't want to blame aliens for anything right now. They just want to prove that they're real. Prove that a ship in space is real. My other manual, How to See a UFO, I will give it to you as a JPEG, a file. You can pay me $1 if you want or nothing, whatever, but I will send it to you if you send me an email. How to See a UFO. It's important because once you see one, you don't have to say, well, the government says they're not real, or these people say they're real. You make the decision and you'll know how they change, disappear, and all kinds of different things. All right. So How to see a UFO, text me if you want it. But getting back to, people need to believe something important. And what's important? Being happy, searching for your desire. I think that's the most important thing for most people. What do you desire? To be a founder, to be a spiritual master, to be a rock star. That's a desire. All right. Whether you want to attain it or not, it's a different story, whether you can or not. I wanted to be a rock star, but I can't sing. I can't play music. So what part of music would I be part of? I did magic for 25 years, stage magic. And I did native dancing for 35 years. So I did fire dancing for half of my life as well. But I was in search of something. And it took me, I guess, about 10 years ago to find the final answer. I mean, love is not the answer, not the love we perceive is not the answer. True love, what it really is, but the love that mankind searches for, a woman, is not the answer. And I'm going to do multiple shows on that because it is one of the most important topics. Because people are brainwashed. Love is the answer. If we all loved each other. If we all loved each other. Do you have a clue what that would mean? If aliens loved us, guess what? There would be so many different realities. But they don't. Most alien races don't have feelings and emotions, and they don't care what we think or feel. They give us what they want us to have, and in turn, it usually will help destroy the planet. Tesla, one of the greatest inventors, invented 200 different devices and had them copyrighted. In the interim, who was he working with? Where did he get that information? Not by going to college. Well, he was working with an alien race. All right. And they gave him that information because they wanted us to use it. And I'll tell you straight out, everything Tesla brought out is going to eventually destroy the planet in some way. And everybody thinks the Tesla car is so great. Cars that drive themselves. Well, think about the future of mankind if technology doesn't need people. It doesn't need people then, does it? So when you think about and you hear things, it should set a chain reaction in your thinking. Something is totally wrong. And we're going in the wrong direction. Japan just made a bill saying, or whatever you want to call it, a law, that you're allowed to, as far as scientists are allowed to link humans with animals now. Clone them, graft them, whatever conditions they want to do. What do you think that's going to do to the planet? Considering they already were doing it. So the United States was doing it. So we're creating a scenario, which is bad. But obviously they won't let those kind of things walk the street, not anytime soon. While they work with the Greys, again, people don't accept the idea about the Greys. All right. I hope you can hear this. I'm just looking at my dots. They don't look that powerful. But in the interim, where are we going? What's hypnosis have to do with any of this? What's really going down? So I'll tell you this. Open up your mind. Open up your heart. Do a meditation and go deeper into that. And then try to communicate with spirit, angels, spirit guides, and things. And open a gateway for something to happen and something to come out of that outside of the normal reality. Going into nothingness, experiencing nothing, is not the answer. I'm telling you, it is not the answer. How did my volume get down there again? All right. So what we're going to do is just close your eyes for a second. I just want to do this for you. Close your eyes. What do you see? Anything? Darkness. Okay, good start. Can you still hear me? I'm sure you can. So imagine nothingness, no sound, no light, no anything. But then you open up your mind, and then you open up your third eye. And you look and you see this ball of blue light. Well, you see a doorway. Now, the first thing is, do you have faith? Do you have a belief? Do you have a God? Do you believe in anything? That is critical to what you can do and where you can go from there. But we all have angels that are around us that'll work with us if you listen to them or try to hear them. And you can meet with them, and they will start taking you every step of the way that you need to go. All right. At that point, we each unfold at some kind of a level, and you start your spiritual quest from there. You have to learn. You have to learn what out of the body experience really is. I mean, it's close to a near death experience if you had one. I had 5. You'll understand that part of it, but there's multiple steps beyond that. The astral plane is pretty much a place where people go and think it's happy and beautiful and incredible. Well, it's like stepping out of a cardboard box into Atlantic City Casino. Wow, check it out. But how long can you stay there? What are you going to be excited to do? You're going to lose all your money, and then what? Go and leave. But here's the thing. If you're told this is heaven, and you believe it is, where do you want to go from heaven? Nowhere. So the conditioning and the programming that's happening is getting pathetic. To keep that in line with this whole disclosure for UFOs, I'll go back to that topic again after I get into this part. The UFO world have multiple speakers, famous ones now. They're super famous because they're on Ancient Aliens and all those kind of shows. And they tell you about how these ships came and they saw them. Seeing ships is nothing. Has nothing to do with what race is driving it, what they're there for, what they're going to do, what they want to do. Nothing. So disclosure in the UFO world means finding out that ships are real. Well, then they'll come and tell us what aliens are, what they want. No, they won't. If they wanted to do that, they would have. Here's the thing. Aliens have been here a long time. All right? And whether they want to communicate with us or not. Sorry, my nose is getting itchy. What have they been doing? Abducting people. How many of them disappear permanently versus come back? How many lose their children? How many lose certain parts of their body? And things like that. But it doesn't go noticed. So we have to wake up. What do you want for disclosure? Oh, I want to know a ship is real. The Phoenix Light was a big giant ship. And what's the government tell people? They're flares, and people believe it. And between 1 and 2 mile ship was flares, and they traveled across the sky together. I mean, try to get a flare or a balloon or anything to travel in a path together. Impossible. The idea that there were balloons or flares is ridiculous. I mean, it was like you'd have to have a super big steel triangle and mount the flares on it and light the flares all at the same time. And then have something pulling that triangle at a speed to keep it up in space. But it wouldn't travel fast enough to be suspended in space by being pulled by something either. I can go into all the details why it was a real ship. And I have a friend, the next day, got a picture of it in the morning. It was still there. And it came over the desert in the early morning. So the whole concept of what we are given, I mean, they're releasing these videos of just dots and little squirmy lights and stuff. Well, I lectured for the Thunderbirds 25 years ago with Sergeant L18, and we watched them come up after we did our lecture. Each one of them had to come up and tell us their story. Oh, the ship came right next to us. There were 2 ships on both sides. I mean, all those stories. Every one of them wanted to tell us, but we ended at 10, and they were going on till like 11:30, 12 o'clock, and we said it's time to break. But we listened to at least 50 of them. I mean, these people flew in by plane. It was their 1-year anniversary, and they all get together. They all fly their planes there, different sized planes and everything. It was a really cool day. But they all had a story of UFOs. So why wasn't that ever public? Because the problem with the the UFO people don't understand. It's kind of brain dead in their thinking that the government's working with alien races for weapons only, not about making bread or a new kind of bread or nothing like that, about getting technology to make better weapons. All right. Now, why would the United States listen to this? This is real important for the word disclosure. Why would the United States want to publicize what weapons they're getting from alien races? So that Russia will say, hey, or the Chinese will say, hey, the Japanese will say, hey. Is that what people understand or don't understand? Now, Salsa, who lives in Hawaii, who's a great writer, who's on all the UFO conferences, has put a book out on secret government programs and projects. Well, let's try to expose what our government's doing. Do you realize they're doing it for one reason? To protect the rich and famous. They're not doing it to protect you, but they are doing it for a reason. And to protect those people. They're building underground cities to put those people in when the time is right. It's not about the poor or middle class people, which we are. Hold on, let me just try to read the question. Hold on. Somebody asked me about Bigfoot. No, it wasn't Bigfoot. Bigfoot is pretty much a pet to an alien race that came here. They haven't helped the native people, which native people are claiming. They haven't helped anybody, and I was about a foot away from one. They might be intelligent in their own way, like a cat is, a dog is, or a pig is. They eat. They steal people's animals to eat. All right? They eat meat as a big part of their diet. So they scream and yell and smell really bad. So what else do you want to know about them? What do? They're intelligent enough to sense energy, meaning people. And they can pull away from that or hide from it. I mean, sometimes they're not thinking, and they're just going after a deer or an elk, and they forget somebody could be watching them. But they're not here to help us, and they didn't build pyramids. They don't live in pyramids. They live in caves and underground trees and whatever they can create. They're not advanced spiritual beings at all at any level. So the concept of what people want to believe, what people tell stories about. Keone, a Bigfoot person, wrote a bunch of books on him. I was friends with him for many years. I brought him on my show, and I ended up debating him. And then he kind of ran and hid. Because I said, okay, where's your proof? Proof is really important when you're dealing with things outside the norm. If you're going to say, well, I got an invisible ball, and I could, well, show us what it does. And if you can't do that, who cares about your invisible ball? So Bigfoot is, like I said, an escaped pet, for a word. Whether it was an intentional thing or not. They've been here for a long time. I mean, when I was next to one, I was in Wanacue, New Jersey, and it came right up on back of me. So they're real, but did it help me in any way? I'd rather be with a dolphin in the water than with a Bigfoot. I'd rather be with a dolphin in the water than an alien. A bottlenose dolphin, they're the most intelligent creatures on the planet. And they have a brain like us. So yeah. And why are humans eating them? The world is sick, pathetic. In Japan, they sell dolphins, not the dolphin fish, because the dolphin fish is worth a fortune, dolphins to the kids in school. I mean, they got whale restaurants in Japan, and the whale boats are all illegal. Scientifically, they're only allowed to kill 10,000. 10,000 whales to do scientific research. Where's these labs that would do all that kind of research with that many whales? But the problem is they're using a cannon boat that actually cans them, turns them into meat. And they put a big sign on, scientific boat, testing and all kind of idiotic things going on. And then they arrest Greenpeace when they try to stop it. The world is crashing. And people are too ignorant to look at the facts that are here already. Not what aliens are going to try to tell us or show us or try to prove to us. Now, I was involved with time travel. I didn't do it. Al Bielek did. I was friends with him. His story is incredible. I believe him to the max. He was offered to go back in time rather recently before he was killed or died. Millions of dollars to go back and change time. But when we change time, we change reality, which is a bad thing. And as long as we think we can do it and try to do it, we're going to screw up everything that we have. But on that note, who do you think created time travel? Tesla? No. He was given the invention from an alien race that were already doing it. So if they could do it thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, mankind's what? 20,000, 30,000 years old. And there were aliens here. Aliens, a certain alien being brought us here. That goes back how far? 35,000 years ago? And what were they doing with planet Earth? The giants were here and everything else was going on, which is provable. So when you take your history and try to say these giants, they were all killed. I mean, even the one book that's in the Bible about, I'm forgetting, but the person that killed the giant, the whole story about the Enochs were taken out. But in the native nation, in the United States, they found in the skeletons of giants now that were trying to kill the native people, and the native people had to kill them out. Giants were always the bad beings, for a word. They were trying to have sex with little people when they were brought here. For them to be called gods and made us what? Ignorant, stupid, murderers. They sure didn't help us become spiritual beings. Atlantis, I don't know how long. I was only there for the time that I was there, but basically it was before the Sumerians actually created the whole Sumerian tablets and all that. The Emerald tablets are closest to what Thoth the Atlantean did, and it's not the storybook Atlantis, because they turn everything into a man, like they try to make Jesus a god. I mean, they try to bring it all together to make it a great story. But if you look at history and you look at life, it was a pretty sad story. You look at the black people, you look at the Jewish people, you look at the native people, you look at the Quakers, they were all slaughtered. Why? Being slaughtered, being raped, being abused. We have something to blame, our ego. Ego is not soul, soul is not ego. Mind is part of ego, and it's not part of soul. Soul is separate than the body. It uses the body, but it's part of the space that comes inside it and leaves it. It's not a permanent thing inside the body. The body dies, soul just steps out. And I use this over and over because it's the most easiest scenario that you can possibly follow is a car. You are soul as a being. You step into a car. You drive around. You go every place. You got to put gas in it, oil in it, change the tires and all these things. And then it starts breaking down. You get rid of it. Same with the body. No different. But understanding that and believing it is so different. Very few people believe in reincarnation. They want to believe in it, but will they? No, they won't. Their religion won't let them. Christianity won't let them. Muslims have their own their own belief system. And it has a lot of religions based it on sex. In Christianity, Catholics, it's about having more children and everything in the church when you get married and all that. But it was the same for the Muslims. They have their belief of going to heaven and being with big-breasted women and having sex 7 days at a time. A nice dream, if that's what you truly want to have when you let go of this body. What body are you going to use? A soul, astral body? And have sex? Is that going to be your desire? Well, you don't find those things out until you get to that place, if you ever get to that place. There's many souls haunting this planet because they can't get beyond it. So, all I can say is, are you ready? 1 minute. So please open your mind and think about it. Now, I'll be doing a show. I'll try to do one a week, and I do the other show on Tuesdays as well. But think about it. Think about what soul is, what you are as soul. Think about death. Think about birth. Think about God. Write something down on a piece of paper so you have an understanding what you believe it to be. And you can always look down on it and say, well, that's what I believe. That's it. That's what I think I know. You'll find out you know nothing. All right? Please, I'll tell you, you know nothing. You know nothing about what God is. You're programmed to believe multiple things, which God is not. So with that, I hope I got into a couple things. I didn't get into anything in really detail. I want to get into some really hardcore things over the next couple weeks. I want to do a workshop. I'm still trying to raise money to do that because I want to do like 2 weekends in a row, but I want to teach things about death, astral projection, which is not right, but soul travel, being able to see people's auras and things like that, learning how to create protection, real protection for yourself as soul. You can't protect the body. If a bomb's dropped on the United States and blows it up, no matter what protection you think you have, your body's going to get blown up. So with that, think about it. Till next time, it's always a pleasure. Talk soon. Text me, hawksblood1aol.com. My newest book is The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. My JPEG file, my PDF file, not a JPEG, sorry. For how to see a UFO, I will send that to you too. All right. Till next time, peace, love, whatever you want in your life, may you get it.